"You're like a brother to me," she said for months. Then I introduced her to my new girlfriend. She yelled, "You're an opportunistic jerk. You should try harder to get me." What she did next made me go nuclear. Hey Reddit, there's this thing people do when they want to keep you close but not too close. They give you a title. Something that sounds important but actually translates to, "I need you available but not interested." Brother. Best friend. Ride or die. Pick your favorite emotional participation trophy. I, 28 male, live in Columbus, Ohio, and I spent 10 months learning that being someone's brother means you get all the responsibilities of a relationship with none of the benefits. It's like being an unpaid intern for someone's emotional stability. I install and inspect fire suppression systems in commercial buildings. My work logs and building sign-ins track me all day. Badge in, badge out, GPS on the work truck. That becomes important later. I met Allie at a mutual friend's cookout last March. Will, who I'd known since high school. I was standing by the grill arguing about whether the Bengals would ever win a Super Bowl when she walked up. "The Bengals already won in 2022, she said, stealing a chip off my plate. "They lost the Super Bowl in 2022, I corrected. "Close doesn't count. In Ohio, close absolutely counts. It's basically a state motto. Brown hair, confident smile, the kind of energy that made you pay attention. I'm Allie, Keegan, and that was it. The beginning of 10 months of getting played while thinking I was being a good guy. We exchanged numbers, started texting that night. Within a week, we were texting multiple times a day, coffee runs that turned into 3-hour conversations, movie nights at her apartment. I helped her pick out furniture, drove her to pick up her car from the shop. Normal friend stuff that felt like more when I was in the middle of it. I was into her almost immediately, and I wasn't stupid about it. So after about 3 weeks, I tested the waters. We were on her couch watching some true crime documentary when I said, "So, random question. You seeing anyone?" She turned to me with this expression I now recognize as the one people make when they're about to friend zone you so hard your grandchildren will feel it. "I'm not dating you, but you're not going anywhere. Don't get ambitious. You're my person." Not like that. There it was. The title. The invisible fence. Brother? I should have walked away then. I stayed. Because I figured maybe she just needed time. Maybe. 10 months of maybes. Every single one of them was wrong. Allie worked in medical billing at a hospital network downtown. Stressed constantly. She'd call me at random hours to vent. Sometimes multiple times a day. I listened every time. That's what brothers do, right? I helped her move apartments when her lease ended in June. Showed up with my pickup truck and spent 8 hours hauling furniture up 3 flights of stairs in 90-degree heat. Threw out my back for a week. She bought me pizza afterward and said, "You're the most reliable person in my life." Reliable. Another word that sounds like a compliment but actually means, I know you'll show up so I don't have to worry about backup plans. I wasn't a complete doormat. When she wanted me to drive her to the airport at 4 a.m., I told her to call an Uber because I had a 7 a.m. service call. She got annoyed. Said she didn't feel safe alone at that hour. I offered to pay for the ride instead. She declined and made it sound like I'd failed her. Each time I said no, she'd go silent, then come back with, "Are you seriously doing this right now?" The message was clear. My value was directly tied to my availability. Meanwhile, she dated. A lot. For someone who wasn't looking for a relationship, she cycled through guys like she was trying to set a record. There was David, the accountant from a dating app. Ended after a month when she found out he was still living with his ex-girlfriend, just in separate bedroom. She called me at 11 p.m., voice shaking. I drove across town to pick her up from the restaurant where she'd been waiting for him to explain himself. He never showed. Before David, there was a startup bro texting his ex the whole time. After David, there was a guy hiding his relationship status. Same pattern every time. She'd fall hard, find out he was trash, crash, and I'd be there. "Tell me you're free tonight. Don't say you're busy." And each time she recovered, she'd say, "Why can't guys treat me like you do?" It's a special kind of torture hearing that, because the answer is right there. It's you, Keegan. You're standing right here. But I never said it. By January, something started shifting. I started noticing how the friendship felt different depending on what she needed. When she was happy with someone new, I barely heard from her. When things fell apart, suddenly I was the first call. I started declining plans more often. Not to punish her, just because I was tired. Will noticed before I did. We were shooting pool at his place one night in February when he said, "You know she's never going to see you that way, right?" I lined up my shot. "I know. Do you, though? Because you've been orbiting this girl for almost a year, and she's still calling you her brother, while cycling through dudes who treat her like garbage. You're waiting for something that's never going to happen. And while you wait, you're not looking for something that actually could." I didn't have a good response because he wasn't wrong. There's a whole city of women out there who might actually want to date you. Might be worth exploring. I sank the 8-ball. Won the game. Decided maybe he had a point. 3 weeks later, I met Cassie, county courthouse. Not exactly romantic, but life doesn't care about settings. I was there pulling permits for a historic preservation project. Fire suppression overhaul, 14 forms, bureaucratic nightmare. Cassie was the court clerk processing my application. When she saw my stack of papers, half printed wrong, half filled out incorrectly, she laughed. Not mockingly, sympathetically. "First time doing a commercial renovation permit? That obvious? You've got 6 forms here that are duplicates, and you're missing the one that actually matters." She slid a sheet across. "Fill this out, attach it to that one, toss the rest. Save yourself 3 hours. Dark hair pulled back, eyes that said, "I've seen it all and I'm not impressed." Zero drama vibes. I was into it. "Can I buy you coffee as a thank you?" I asked before I could overthink it. She considered it. Actually considered it. "I take lunch at 12:30. Make it then instead. Deal. That lunch turned into 2 hours. My boss called twice. I sent both to voicemail. Cassie was originally from Cincinnati, moved to Columbus after a broken engagement. Some guy who cheated and then blamed her for not being emotionally available enough. He said I worked too much, she explained. Code for I wasn't home enough to notice when he had other people over. She'd moved to Columbus not knowing a single person and rebuilt from scratch. No self-pity, no poor me energy. She wasn't looking for someone to save her. She'd figured her own stuff out. I spent 2 years being someone's emotional support animal, she said. Now I only date people who actually want to date me. Something about the way she said it hit me right in the chest. Like she just described my last year in one sentence. We started seeing each other. Coffee turned into dinner, turned into weekends. Just two adults who enjoyed each other's company and were honest about what that meant. She told me on our third date that she liked me and wanted to see where things went. No games. No mixed signals. No being told I was like a brother while she scanned the room for better option. After a month, it was official. Cassie was my girlfriend. And for the first time in almost a year, I felt like I was building something instead of waiting for something to be given to me. I didn't tell Allie right away about Cassie. Not because I was hiding it, but because we'd naturally drifted apart as I'd started pulling back. She'd noticed the reduced availability and had been cold about it, which honestly made the distance easier to maintain. I was busy. She was busy. We weren't seeing each other as much. When I finally mentioned it during a coffee meetup in late March, she texted repeatedly asking why I'd been so distant. Her reaction was immediate and strange. Wait, you're dating someone? Since when? About a month. A month? She set down her cup like I'd told her someone died. And you didn't tell me? I'm telling you now. But you don't make moves without telling me. That's our thing. She looked genuinely wounded, which I hadn't expected. We are close. I've just been busy with a new relationship and work and everything. Too busy to tell your best friend that your whole life changed? It's not my whole life. It's just dating someone. I wasn't keeping secrets. I just hadn't gotten around to mentioning it. How did you meet? I was pulling permits for a job. She works at the courthouse. And she just asked you out? I asked her. She said yes. Allie's face did something I'd never seen before. This quick flash of something between surprise and irritation, covered up by a fake smile. Like she was trying to reset her face before I could read it. So you're not making this a real thing, right? Because that's a lot. She did not sound happy for me. She sounded like someone who just found out their backup generator had been sold without notice and was trying to figure out what that meant for future power outages. Allie insisted on meeting Cassie. I have to vet whoever's taking up my brother's time, she said. And the way she emphasized brother made it sound less like a term of endearment and more like she was marking her territory. We scheduled brunch for the following Saturday. Nice place downtown called Harper's Table. White tablecloths, bottomless pancakes. An atmosphere that suggested people having pleasant, civilized conversations about pleasant, civilized topics. Allie showed up looking like she was attending a job interview for a magazine. Full makeup at 10 a.m. Carefully selected outfit that probably took 2 hours to assemble. Jewelry I'd never seen before. The whole production. Cassie showed up in jeans and a nice sweater, looking exactly like herself. The difference was obvious. And definitely on purpose. So you're the reason he's been hard to reach. Cute. Allie's smile was cranked up to wattage that could power a small building. Likewise, Cassie said. He talks about you a lot. He usually runs stuff by me. I'm basically his filter. It keeps him from making dumb choices. Allie turned to me with this look that was clearly meant to establish something. Ownership, history, priority. We've known each other over a year, I said, trying to keep things neutral. The best year, Allie added. Remember when we went to that concert and the power went out? We just sat in the parking lot for 3 hours, talking about everything. That was one of the best nights of my life. I remembered it differently. Mostly I remembered being cold and waiting for her rideshare to show up, while she complained about the venue's incompetence. But okay. The rest of brunch followed a predictable pattern. Every time Cassie tried to engage in normal conversation about work or interests or anything that might establish her as a real person rather than an intruder, Allie would find a way to redirect towards shared memories with me. Inside jokes nobody else could possibly understand. References to things we'd done together. Stories where she was the main character and I was her loyal supporting player. Keegan's the most reliable person I know, she announced at one point, out of nowhere. Like, after what David did last summer, Keegan was there within 30 minutes. Didn't even have to ask. He just knew. Cassie's eyebrow went up slightly. That's nice. It's just what we do. We take care of each other. Allie reached over and squeezed my hand across the table, held it there like she was proving a point to HR. No matter what, the subtext was about as subtle as a fire alarm, which professionally speaking I know a lot about. Cassie's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. This wasn't a woman getting to know her friend's new girlfriend. This was a woman marking her territory. When Cassie excused herself to use the restroom, Allie leaned in immediately. She seems safe. You'll get bored. You always circle back. I didn't realize you were tracking my type. I just know you, Keegan. Better than anyone. She shrugged innocently, like this was all friendly observation. I'm looking out for you. I appreciate that. But I didn't, and she knew I didn't. And for the first time, she couldn't pretend otherwise. Cassie came back, and we finished the meal with forced pleasantries. Outside, after Allie had hugged me slightly too long and walked away with one more meaningful look over her shoulder, Cassie turned to me. She has feelings for you? No, she just likes having me available. It's different. Keegan. Cassie's voice was patient but firm. She literally spent 2 hours reminding me that she knew you first and knew you better. That's not how you treat a friend's new relationship. That's how you mark territory. So what do you want me to do about it? Keep your eyes open. Women like her don't handle being replaced gracefully. This isn't over. I should have listened more carefully. The next 3 months were what happens when a woman realizes she lost her backup plan. Allie started texting more frequently, random check-ins that felt like surveillance. Where are you? Who are you with? Don't ignore me. Old photos from things we'd done. Remember this? Messages arriving at 11 p.m. when she probably knew I'd be with Cassie. Comments on every single thing I posted online. Always something that established history or intimacy. I remember when you first got that shirt, we were at the mall for like 3 hours. After a week of this, I sent her a clear message. Stop posting old pictures of us. Stop with the 11 p.m. texts. I'm with Cassie now. Respect that, or we're done talking. She sent back, seriously? After everything I've done for you? And then went nuclear quiet. She didn't get it. She started showing up at places I mentioned being. I'd tell Will I was grabbing dinner at this spot in the short north, and suddenly Allie would walk in. I figured you'd be here. You're predictable. 3 times in 2 weeks. I pulled Will aside and said, stop sharing my plans with her. I mean it. He looked uncomfortable but agreed. Then came the social media campaign. Old photos of us together, captioned with things like, missing my favorite human, and nobody gets me like this one. All carefully timed for maximum visibility, usually right after I'd post something with Cassie. I blocked her. Didn't announce it, didn't explain it, just blocked. She made a second account to check if I'd really done it. I blocked that one too. Things escalated at Will's summer barbecue in early July. Same annual gathering, nothing fancy. Allie showed up uninvited. Nobody had told her about it, but she'd seen something on someone's Instagram story and just appeared with a casserole dish like she'd been expected all along. She spent the entire afternoon positioning herself near me, touching my arm when she talked, laughing too loud at things I said, calling me her Keegan to other people like I was a possession rather than a person. Cassie was there, watching it all with increasingly cold eyes. At one point, Allie started telling a story about a camping trip we'd supposedly taken the previous fall. A trip that never happened. Complete fiction she invented on the spot. Designed to make Cassie feel like an outsider who'd missed the good times. I pulled Allie aside by the garage, away from everyone else. What are you doing? Having fun at a party? What are you doing? That camping trip didn't happen. You're making things up. It happened. You're not going to embarrass me in front of her by pretending you forgot. You're making Cassie uncomfortable on purpose, and you're touching me constantly. Stop. Her face hardened slightly. Then maybe Cassie should get over herself. You had a life before her. I'm part of that life. If she can't handle it, that's her problem. Allie, I'm done being polite about this. Done being polite? Her voice dropped. You know what your problem is? You found someone boring and stable, and now you're pretending that's what you always wanted. But I know you, Keegan, better than she ever will. You don't know me at all. You know the version of me that was stupid enough to wait around hoping you'd change your mind. Silence. I waited for you for almost a year, I continued. I was available every time you called, and you kept me exactly where you wanted me. Close enough to need, but not close enough to want. That's done now. Don't contact me again. I walked away. Will watched the whole thing from across the yard. He gave me a small nod. First time he'd ever looked at me like I'd finally figured something out. And 2 weeks later, she showed up at my job site. I was doing an inspection at a new office building downtown. Badge in security, sign-in sheets, visitor logs, the whole 9 yards. The kind of building where they take safety protocols seriously because the tenants include a law firm and a financial services company. I'm in the mechanical room on the 4th floor, 40 feet up on a scissor lift checking pressure gauges on the main riser, when the site foreman radios me. Keegan, there's a woman at the front desk saying she's your sister. Says it's a family emergency. My blood went cold. I don't have a sister. I walked out to find Allie standing in the lobby, looking panicked in a way that was obviously rehearsed. The second she saw me, she rushed over and grabbed my arm. Keegan, thank God! I need to talk to you. It's important. The security guard was watching. The receptionist was watching. The foreman was definitely watching. I could feel my professional reputation shrinking in real time. There's no emergency, I said, keeping my voice flat. She's not my sister. She's nobody. Keegan, please, you need to leave. Now, or I'm calling the police. The security guard stepped forward. Ma'am, you need to go. She looked at me with this expression of wounded betrayal, like I was the one who'd done something wrong. Like showing up at my workplace under false pretenses was a reasonable thing that reasonable people did. You don't get to demote me because you found someone new, she said quietly. I used to be stupid about a lot of things. Leave. Security escorted her out, but she stopped at the door and turned back. You're an opportunistic jerk, she spat. You should try harder to get me instead of settling for some courthouse nobody, then louder for everyone to hear. You should have earned me. You got lazy. Now you're panicking. I didn't respond. The security guard put his hand on her arm and she shook it off, walked out on her own. I had to fill out an incident report. The foreman pulled me into his office afterward and asked what the heck that was about. I gave him the short version. He said he'd keep it between us, but the look on his face told me he'd be watching closer now. The building manager requested I use a different entrance for the rest of the project. That night I told Cassie everything. She listened without interrupting, then said, She's escalating. This isn't going to stop on its own. We need to make sure we have this on record. She sat me down and made me walk through every incident while she typed. Dates, times, what happened, who saw it. Built the whole thing into a spreadsheet with timestamps and evidence links. When I started spiraling about how crazy this all was, she just said, focus, one thing at a time. That's Cassie. No drama, just solutions. I was wrong about that too. 3 weeks later, I got arrested. It started with a phone call. A detective from Columbus PD said they had recordings and caller ID hits tied to my name. A formal complaint had been filed. He asked if I could come down to the station to clear something up. Made it sound routine. Just some questions. I walked in at 10 a.m. They took my phone immediately. Standard procedure, they said. Led me to an interview room instead of a regular desk. The detective sat across from me with a folder thick enough to be intimidating. We just need your side of things, he said. But his tone wasn't curious. It was already convinced. The charge was interference with emergency communications. According to the detective, someone had been making repeated calls to the police department's non-emergency line over the past 2 weeks. Dozens of calls, hang-ups, heavy breathing, fake wellness check requests, wasted resources. All of them had displayed my landline number on caller ID. I didn't even use my landline anymore. It came with the apartment, and I'd kept it active for emergencies, but I couldn't remember the last time I'd actually dialed out on it. There's been a mistake, I said. I haven't made any calls. He slid a paper across the table. They already had a warrant. Signed that morning based on the caller ID evidence and the formal complaint. That's what everyone says. The detective didn't look sympathetic. We'll sort it out. Nobody in that room was treating spoofing like a real possibility yet. They processed me. Fingerprints. Mugshot. The report said I was volatile and fixated, like I was some dude she needed protection from. There were other guys in there who looked like they belonged there. I did not look like I belonged there, which somehow made it worse. The intake officer asked if I had any gang affiliations with the same energy as someone asking about food allergies. The holding cell smelled like industrial cleaner and bad decisions. My phone call went to Will, who got me a criminal defense lawyer. My employer found out because I was supposed to be at a job site by 1 p.m. and just never showed. First time in 4 years. I had a reputation at work. The guy who showed up early, double-checked everything, never missed a callback. My supervisor once said I was the only tech who makes clients specifically request him. Now HR was sending emails about concerning absence and pending review of status. Commercial clients do background checks. Government contracts especially. My whole career suddenly balanced on something I didn't do. The lawyer got me released on my own recognizance, but the damage kept spreading. The legal retainer was $1,500 just to get started. $250 an hour after that. My savings account took a hit that would take months to recover from. My company pulled me off a government contract site. Too much liability with a pending charge. They reassigned me to residential work, which paid 40% less. Some of my coworkers stopped making eye contact in the break room. Cassie sat across from me that night, quiet for a long time. Then, I need some space. Just for a week. Just until I can think clearly about all this. That one hurt worse than the arrest. Someone's framing me, I said. I know. I believe you. She grabbed her jacket. But I need to process it. I'll call you. She did call. A week later. But that week was the longest 7 days of my life. Just me, alone, wondering if everything I'd built was collapsing, because some woman couldn't handle being told no. My lawyer helped me fight back. We requested detailed call logs from the police department, cross-referenced them with my actual phone records, my work schedule, my location data. For 14 of the 17 calls, I was physically at job sites, documented, signed into buildings with security protocols that logged entry and exit times. One call happened while I was in a team meeting with 6 coworkers. Another happened while I was on a service call 30 miles from my apartment with GPS records for my work vehicle. I also discovered something interesting about my landline account. Someone had called the phone company, and by providing enough personal information, had requested account details, including the full number. The phone company's security was garbage, and they couldn't tell me who had called. But someone had been doing homework on my life. The security camera footage sealed it. My apartment building had recently installed cameras after a string of car break-in. I requested the footage for the nights several calls were made. On 2 separate occasions, between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m., the footage showed Allie's car in the visitor parking lot. Not parked normally, just idling, like someone was sitting there, doing something they didn't want to do at home, then leaving. The timestamps matched the call logs within minutes. When my lawyer presented this to the prosecutor, they got very interested in having a conversation with Allie instead of me. The charges against me were dropped 4 days later. Insufficient evidence, possible third-party involvement, ongoing investigation. Getting my job back took 2 weeks of meetings, a letter from my lawyer, a formal apology from HR that felt about as sincere as a form letter, and one uncomfortable conversation where my supervisor admitted they'd jumped the gun. The government contract was gone, though. Once you're pulled off something like that, they don't invite you back even if you're cleared. But the investigation didn't stop when my charges went away. It shifted targets. The police obtained records from Allie's phone carrier. They found evidence of a burner phone purchased with cash. They found caller ID spoofing software on her laptop when they got a warrant. They found text messages to a friend where she bragged about, "He'll learn you don't just replace me and walk away." Allie was charged with filing false police reports, interference with emergency communications, and criminal harassment, all misdemeanors, but the kind that come with potential jail time, mandatory fines, and a permanent record that would show up on every background check for the rest of her life. She lost her job at the hospital within a week. Turns out healthcare systems don't love employing people with pending criminal cases involving fraud and harassment. Her parents had to hire her a lawyer. I heard her dad had to dip into retirement savings because she'd burned through her own money on legal fees and couldn't make rent. And I hadn't even started my part yet. Some people believe in turning the other cheek. I believe in making sure people choke on the consequences of what they did. She tried to destroy my career, my relationship, and my freedom. The legal system was handling the official punishment, But I wasn't done making sure the consequences stuck. The real revenge was paperwork. I filed for a civil stalking protection order, documented every incident from the social media campaign to the workplace ambush to the framing attempt. The court granted it within 2 weeks. Now, any contact wasn't just creepy, it was criminal. I submitted a restitution packet through my lawyer that went beyond the standard ask. Legal fees, obviously, but also lost wages from when I got reassigned to residential work. Documentation of the government contract I lost, and the income differential for the remaining 8 months of that project. Every dollar I could prove. Her actual legal problems multiplied from there. The criminal charges resulted in a plea deal. No jail time, but 2 years of supervised probation with strict conditions. A permanent criminal record that couldn't be expunged. 120 hours of community service at a domestic violence shelter. Ironic, given what she'd tried to do to me. Court-ordered restitution covering my legal fees. $4,200 paid over 18 months. Every check she wrote had my name on it. And a no-contact order with actual teeth. Any violation meant automatic jail time. For anything restitution didn't cover, my lawyer sent a demand letter threatening civil action. The threat alone was enough. Her parents paid the difference just to make it stop. Another $6,000 for the contract losses. They weren't happy about it. I wasn't trying to make them happy. The background check reality hit her fast. Healthcare, locked out, anything involving patient info, billing systems, or HIPAA compliance was off the table permanently. Finance? Same problem. Admin work at any company that handles sensitive data? Nope. She'd basically disqualified herself from every job she'd ever been trained for. She had to move back in with her parents because she couldn't afford rent without a job, and her credit was destroyed. I heard through the grapevine that she tried to get a fresh start at a medical supply company. Entry level, nothing fancy. Made it through 2 interviews. Then her former supervisor from the hospital showed up for a conference at the same building. Recognized her in the lobby. Word got around. Job offer disappeared. Last I heard, she was working retail at a home goods store, folding towels for $12 an hour. Choices have receipts. Hers were adding up. But I wasn't quite done adding to her tab. See, there's legal revenge, which feels good in a grown-up, I did this by the book kind of way. And then there's petty revenge, which is satisfying in a way that makes you laugh every time you think about it for the rest of your life. I decided Allie deserved both. One night I was sitting on the couch, half watching some reality show while Cassie read, and I had a thought. Allie had weaponized my contact information against me. Seemed only fair to return the favor. Not illegally. Nothing that would violate the no-contact order. Just creatively. Her parents' address was public record now, thanks to all the court filings. And the internet is full of organizations that are absolutely thrilled to spread the good word to anyone who might be interested in receiving it. I signed her up for everything. Jehovah's Witnesses? Check the box for, please visit me to discuss spiritual matters. Mormons? Requested a personal consultation about the Book of Mormon. Scientology? Oh, those guys are persistent. I requested their free personality test on her behalf and indicated she was very interested in learning more about becoming clear. Local Baptist churches running outreach programs. A few Catholic parishes with active evangelism. Some Buddhist meditation center that sends weekly newsletters. A Hare Krishna temple that apparently still does door-to-door visits in Ohio. I used burner emails. And a VPN, obviously. I'm not an amateur. Within 2 weeks, I heard through the grapevine that her parents' doorbell had become a revolving door of spiritual enlightenment. 2 young guys in white shirts and ties showed up on a Tuesday, asking to speak with Allie about her eternal salvation. A group of very enthusiastic ladies from a local church arrived with pamphlets about their women's Bible study. Someone left a copy of Dianetics in the mailbox, with a handwritten note saying they looked forward to meeting her. Her dad, a guy who apparently just wanted to watch ESPN in peace during his retirement, was losing his mind. Every time he answered the door, it was another smiling face asking if Allie had a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, or if she'd considered that the truth might be found in the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard. The Scientologists were the real MVPs, though. Once you're on their list, you're on it forever. They called, they mailed, they showed up. They do not take not interested for an answer. It's like signing someone up for the world's most aggressive book club, except instead of romance novels, it's e-meters and billion-year contracts. The best part? There was nothing illegal about any of it. I wasn't contacting her. I was just sharing her information with people who wanted to help her find peace and meaning in her life. Very thoughtful of me, really. Some might even call it generous. Her mom eventually posted on Nextdoor asking how to get removed from religious solicitation lists. The comments were not helpful. Someone suggested she try answering the door naked. Someone else said the only way to stop Scientologists is to die, and even then they might try to audit your thetan. Will showed me the post. I laughed so hard I almost choked on my drink. Was it mature? No. Was it necessary? Also no. Did it make me stupid happy every time I pictured her trying to explain to another group of smiling missionaries that she didn't actually want to talk about Jesus? Absolutely. Weeks passed. I heard updates through the grapevine but didn't engage directly. Cassie and I were building something real. We moved in together in October. Small apartment, too many plants because she kept buying clearance ones to save them, not enough closet space, and perpetual arguments about the thermostat. Perfect. Then, 8 months after the arrest, Allie showed up at my door. I almost didn't recognize her. She'd lost weight but not in a healthy way. The kind of weight loss that makes clothes hang wrong and cheekbones look sharp. Her hair was shorter, grayer than I remembered. The makeup that used to be perfect was gone. Everything about her looked like life had been beating her down and winning. Can we talk? Her voice was barely above a whisper. I didn't say anything. I pulled out my phone and started recording. I apologized. So you can stop doing this to me now. I kept recording, stepped back inside the doorway. You owe me closure. I didn't come here to be treated like a criminal. I dialed 911. Put it on speaker. 911, what's your emergency? I need to report a protection order violation. The subject is currently at my residence. I gave the address, kept my voice flat. I'm documenting the encounter. Allie's face went white. She hadn't thought about that. She'd been so focused on whatever closure she thought she'd get that she'd forgotten she was risking jail time just by standing on my doorstep. Keegan, please! You should leave. They'll be here in about 4 minutes. She practically ran to her car and peeled out of the lot. I didn't chase. Didn't argue. Just stayed on the line with dispatch and provided the plate number and direction of travel. The cops found her 2 blocks away, pulled over and crying. They cuffed her in front of a family loading groceries into their minivan. The protection order violation triggered an automatic probation review. Her lawyer called the prosecutor begging for leniency. Didn't help. Her probation officer added conditions, and her lawyer looked like he aged a decade in one hearing. I didn't have to do anything else. Just let the system crush her again. I went back inside where Cassie was making dinner. She looked up when I walked in. Who was that? Nobody. She nodded, went back to stirring. Didn't push it. That's what I love about her. And this was finished. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.